Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a highly requested video, a very highly requested video. So in today's video, I'll be sharing my tips and tricks on how you can learn to make cool human faces like these. I also have a custom makeup guide on ethereal faces, so if you're interested and need tips on custom makeup for ethereal faces, make sure to check that video out. I have it linked down below. Let's just get right into the video. Now, this is a big question that I always get a lot on how I get my skin tones. I think, as you guys know, that I use a lot of gray skin. That is a big comment. So how I do that is I usually just click on these default skin tones that are already there. What I do is I always pull this up around here and then I just lower this part. So as you can see, it's starting to become super gray. I don't really leave this part, and sometimes I just straight up use white skin or use the gray skin. But yeah, so that's sort of how I get my skin. I guess if you like the gray skin, then you will like it, because I've seen quite some comments about people not liking gray skin, but I think it looks cool personally. I don't actually know if a lot of people know this as well. All these chairs have different lightings. I usually always use this chair, the one furthest to the right. And if you compare it with other chairs, you will see a pretty big difference with the lighting. I usually like to start off with contour just to frame the face first, and as you can see, some of these are super light, doesn't blend in with the face. A big tip is if you struggle with the contour, go into the skin tone booth and pick up your hex code for your skin. Pick your face contour and you can put your skin tone in. You just pull this part up. It should blend into your skin tone a lot better. Another tip is there's some with no highlights. So as you can see, this part is like lighter. These ones don't really have that lighter part. So what I do is I just keep it on white. I will go into the custom makeup slots, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, they have this highlight. So this one's a lot easier to work with as well. There's no contour on this exact one, so you're only coloring the highlight. So I like to use this one, or sometimes this one if I want a more intense highlight. You kind of just play around with it until you like how it looks. A lot of my human faces don't really look super human-y. I just kind of do what I think looks good. One last tip for contour, you can also use the blushes to make the contours look more deeper. So for example, if I use this one, got this contour on, and you use the blush that kind of goes down more towards the cheek, it adds more dimension and depth. So now that we've got our contour on, I usually go straight into the custom makeup slots. I always put a nose on first. I've noticed that people have picked up that I like this nose. It's this one. Unfortunately, this one is from the Y2K Pop Star DLC code. But I've found that a lot of the new noses as well are very good to use. I've been liking from the new Halloween update. Yeah, so I've seen some, especially because I do more gray skin. If you don't color the nose, sometimes it turns like it pops out and looks a little pink and it doesn't blend in well. Most of my nose contour, if I go through, I always make it blue because obviously with color theory, it neutralizes the color, so it blends in. But yeah, you just gotta really play around with this color wheel and also attempting to make your own faces. But yeah, as I've mentioned in my ethereal custom makeup, if any of you guys have seen it, I sort of talk about how I don't necessarily think you need to copy everything that I'm doing, just more pick up on the tips and my thoughts of how I'm coming up with these faces rather than trying to replicate. And I think making faces becomes more enjoyable when you are able to learn how to make your own faces rather than just copying hex codes. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but people will realize how much more fun custom makeup is when you start actually making your own faces. But for this tutorial, since I know that not everyone has DLC codes, I will use this new nose from the Halloween update. And I do want to mention, to be honest, after this Halloween update, if you don't have any DLC codes, I don't necessarily think you need them anymore, just because all of the new custom makeup we've got is like so good. Once I've got the nose down, I usually just go to lips. Yeah, so with the lips, now we've got a lot of new lips that are just white, so it's actually really easy to color them. With the more older lips, there are some that are already colored. A tip that I'll give for those lips are just to make them like blue, to like tone them down. Since there's more of a pinky tone, if you use the blues, it kind of like makes it less bright. Since most of the new lips are white, it's definitely a lot easier to use. I think genuinely this Halloween update has been a game changer for custom makeup. I don't think there's been an update where we've gotten this many new features. So for example, if I were to use these ones, which I'm like obsessed with, I would just go into the pinks, you know, on this end part. And obviously this doesn't really look that good. So, you know, drag this down and then drag this. And another tip is, if you are looking to make more realistic looking faces, going into the mask section and using these lips help give off that vibe. I would say my style lies in between a mix of the more cartoonish faces and realistic faces. But yeah, even with these ones, since it's already colored, even though it's on white, if you go play around with the purple and the blue part of the color wheel. But yeah, I recommend if you are starting out, just going for more of the white lips. So once I put the lip on, next is eyes. With picking eyes, it really does come down to what type of style of faces you want to make. I think the main two styles are realistic and cutesy, cartoony faces. Both look pretty cool, and I think my style is definitely like in between. So for example, like this one would be super cutesy. Yeah, like here are some examples of super cutesy ones, which I think if that's the style of face you want to go for it. But personally, I don't really use those ones. I like to use more of the realistic eyes. Eyes really do come down to what type of style of face you want to make. If you go in the mask section, there are a lot of eyes. These ones are really good for super realistic faces. I remember I used to use these ones a lot. I think for this tutorial, I'm gonna go for, I feel like these eyes are a good mix of that in between. But yeah, once again, just making everything blend into the skin again. I guess this one kind of ties in with how to find your own makeup style. How I did it was I just basically experimented a lot with different eyes, lips, you know, whatever features it is. And then you kind of just use that for all your faces and stuff. I think I should mention this one as well. As you can see, when I first put these eyes on, there's like the redness around it. It doesn't work for all of the eyes, but for most of them, if you go to the last one, so you press this until you get to eye shading, and you can like change the color of this so it blends in with your skin tone more. And then once my eyes are done, I will go into like the eyebrows. With eyebrows, I feel like it doesn't really matter too much. I always just use these eyebrows, and now I've started to like use these ones. But I think eyebrows are whatever you like the most. It does really depend on, I guess, your own style. I guess now back to the custom makeup slots. There are some eyeshadows that work really well to add dimension to your face and depth. As I mentioned before, you can kind of use the blush to add more depth as well. And then onto the eyeshadow. Honestly, with eyeshadow, you just kind of do, I would just say just do whatever you like and thinks looks cool. This one is really good to add a more detailed eye. These ones too. And you can kind of just play around with the color. I guess it really just depends on what faces you want to make. These ones are really good to use as well. Make it so it blends in. It's also really important to make sure that you're taking into consideration this order. So for example, if I put, let's say I put on, I'll show you with this one because you can really tell. Since it's on top, it covers everything. When you like change the order of it, you can also like switch up the vibes. I also like this eyeliner. And another tip is, if you feel like your face is looking a little too simple, there's these at the bottom as well. They're like freckles. They just add a little bit of texture to the face. I don't do it as much as I used to do it before. I used to like putting on a lot of freckles. But yeah, I guess just like playing around with different eyeshadows switches up the vibe. For example, this versus like this. And just playing around. If you guys would want, maybe doing like a horror custom makeup face, that could be fun too. But yeah, I always make sure, even if I don't really need to, I will at least try to get up to like 5 slots, even if the face looks good. Something like that. I think that looks really pretty. And then I'll save the face. Now I'm gonna quickly make a outfit using this face. I'm gonna make another face using more colors on the face and different custom makeup slots, just so you can kind of see how I do with colored eyeshadow, for example. I hope my tips will help you out with learning how to find your personal style as well as custom makeup faces. As mentioned before, tutorials can be helpful, but I think if you rely on them too much, you will start depending on them. I think it's always good to watch these tutorials and sort of see how people make their faces, and then also to just really go into free play and sit in the custom makeup chair, test out what you like. And yeah, this is basically the final outfit. I really like how it turned out. It's sort of just like a lot of different items that I personally just like. And let's go on to the next face. So I've already put down the base. Just so that this video doesn't get really long, I just kind of did a simple base with a simple skin tone that I would do. So I guess for this one, I would just start off with the eyes. A lot of the new ones are really pretty. Like, I've been really loving like these ones. Let me go for these ones for this tutorial. Or I might go for these ones. So these ones, you can actually color the lashes on this. So just make it black because it's more of a human face. But I do think that these work really well for like a non-human face. And then obviously I need a nose. I'll go for the same nose. So I usually just kind of stick to the same features. I have a couple that I like to just use for my style of faces. Another tip is to layer noses. I think you can make different unique noses by doing that. That's sort of how I guess I would start the base of the face. I do like these features that we got where it's kind of like add some like details to the face and the eyes. I guess my human style, it does kind of merge a lot with a non-human. I feel like my faces work pretty well with for like themes like elves and stuff. She kind of looks like an elf. But yeah, I'll go for something that has a blue eyeshadow. I'm trying not to use any of the dull codes. But yeah, I also really like super dark eye makeup. So as you can see, like once I've moved these, you can see the other details coming on top. I'd probably do something like that. And I actually don't really like these eyes for this face. I might go for these eyes. And there's some blush as well. Yeah, like something like that. And then I don't use lashes for all my eyes, but I think for this face, eyelashes look pretty good with it. And this is how I would style this face. I'm gonna do one last face, and this one's gonna be more of a style. It's not as human looking, but I thought it'd be fun to include this type of style in this video as well. Blue, something around there. And for this one, these types of faces work really well for non-human like elves. And yeah, I basically sort of used the same concept. I like this one a lot for this. I'll also pull down this part of the contour to add more depth. As I've mentioned before, you add this or this one. I think for this one, the super white one looks really good. And then I'll pick the nose. Any nose will work. I'll use a different nose for this one. Let's see. I think for the past two faces, I'm gonna use, I think this one looks pretty cool. But for noses, we just have so many options. It's really up to you and what you want to use. Using my tips that I have gone over, just pull that down and, you know, play around with the color and see what blends in nicely. As you can see now, it blends in a lot better with the face. So now onto the lips. I'm gonna use these ones. I used to be really obsessed with these lips as well. These are a good one. I guess I'm just showing you the process of what I do to make my faces. And then I'll go into the eye section. I really do like these ones as well because you can also color them. And then you can make these black. So I really like these. They kind of remind me of Tropical Summer. It does look kind of different, but it has like a similar vibe to it. Sometimes I just click through all the eyes and see which ones I think looks the best. Yeah. Also, a good tip if you want to do more realistic faces is to use the old eyes. If you add enough eyeshadow, you can bring more details to it. Like for example, like that. You know, it just adds a little bit more depth. But that's also a good tip. I also do like using the old eyes. But for this one, I'm not too sure which. I might go for these eyes. So if I use these, I'll like just play around with the eyes. And obviously this one's a lot more of like a, I guess just play around with all these eyebrows as well. Like as I mentioned before, the eyebrows don't really, I'm not too fussed about it. I do think these are super cool. The one where it's like kind of slanted. You can really just pick out any eyebrow. I do tend to go for more of the straight eyebrows or these sad ones as well. I do like to use a lot. But yeah, I feel like going for something. I think I'm just going to use these ones again. So once I've gotten the base of the face down, I now go back into the last slot. And before I get started with the eyeshadow, because obviously this one's more of like, it's like a blue human basically. Before I get into like adding these details, I will begin to bring in more depth into the face. So for this one, I think a good eyeshadow that I do use a lot is this. It adds like, if you find the right color, you can just make it look like there's more depth. I think I want to go for these. These ones are a super good one because I think it adds shadow and it makes the nose contour also pop a little bit more. I do like this new one that we've got as well, just like there. Yeah. Yeah, let me add these as well. And then I just kind of play around with all the colors and stuff. Sometimes I do, once I've done the face and I don't really like the skin, I'll just go in and switch it up. This one I guess ties in with more of my personal style in Dress to Impress. I think I have like two. This one that I did before and something like this. But yeah, I think it would also be super fun to do a video on how to develop your own personal style in Dress to Impress. Obviously, I have pretty much like found my style. I definitely do think once you figure out what you like, sort of what patterns you like, what items you like to use, the game gets super fun. If you guys would also want to see that, let me know in the comments down below. I would be down to film sort of a how to find your own personal style in Dress to Impress and how I found mine. Now I'm just basically adding on a bunch of different stuff. So this is the final face styled. I hope that this video was somewhat helpful for you. And if you guys also have any other tips and tricks, comment them down below so that people can read them. If you guys like this video and if you guys want any other tutorials, comment them down below and let me know what else you guys would want to see from me. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.